Hey, we're having fun here. If I make the first mistake, y'all can't be nervous about anything, right? Yeah, there we go. We're going to start this off with intros. The format of this is going to be 2-minute answers. Each candidate is going to have 2 minutes to answer each question. If another one is called out, when we get into some other questions, that are going to have a strong difference of opinions, they will be allowed to have a rebuttal with that. So we look forward to a good debate and hopefully coming out on the other side of this with a clear picture of what each candidate envisions for this county. So we will start off with a quick 2-minute intro from each candidate. Mayor Lashlee will begin.
All right, thank you, Dylan. First of all, my name is Brett Lashlee, and I currently serve as your county mayor. I wish to thank WRJB Radio and Dylan Pally for hosting this debate venue, and I'm excited about bringing information that we've accomplished over the past 4 years. My entire working life prior to being elected has been spent working mostly for CPA and accounting firms, finance firms in Nashville. I also worked a long stint with Caterpillar Incorporated, which I think was the greatest manufacturer in the world. And I say that because of the skills that were developed during that time frame, I believe have been critical to my capacity as your county mayor. I have served over 25 years in the U.S. military and on multiple deployments across the globe, where my position as a senior leader was called into action. I recently finished my last deployment and honor and thank all who have served. I mention this background again because those skills, both from the military as well as my professional occupation, have been critical in leading our county forward. I believe that we've made great progress, and I want to continue serving as your county mayor. I look forward to this lively discussion to come. Thank you.
Thank you for that. All right, next, Mark Ward.
Yeah, I'm Mark Ward. I was born in Benton County and raised in Benton County my whole life. I've always worked in Benton County. I've been in business ever since the 80s, starting off with the Amico station that my parents co-signed for me to buy when I was fresh out of high school. I spent several years there and got to meet a lot of people in Benton County, and moved on from there. As I had the gas station, I would buy up rental properties, older properties that people had let go, and remodel them, and worked into a big rental business. I've got several rentals in Camden. I've always had those ever since I started working. But I've also built a lot of houses and commercial buildings here in Benton County. I just see a need for something like the motel. We hadn't had a new motel in 40 years, so I just saw the need for that and built it. The Quick Lube for Brian Douglas. I think he does a wonderful job out there. But my parents are Billy and Faye Ward. My mother passed away 2 years ago, but everybody remembers her, I'm sure. I have two daughters, Bronte and Allie. Very proud of them. Bronte's working at Whitworth Law Firm now, and Allie started working at Walgreens. She's a pharmacist, and she's right here in Paris, so she's close. My in-laws are Sam and Linda Hargrove. My wife is Lori. My wife has taught at Benton County School System for 20 years, and I mention my in-laws because they've been such a great part of my life. Sam, he's a Vietnam veteran, and he's a Purple Heart recipient, and I just think that all of our lives have been touched by the military, and I want to thank all of the military, all of the veterans, all the ones serving now. Brett, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Sam, like I said, he was wounded in Vietnam. My mother's brother, Jerome Kennan, he went down on the USS Wasp. So we've all been affected. We know how it affects our lives, and I just thank every one of them for their service.
Very good. We appreciate it, Mark. Randy, your turn.
Hello, my name is Randy Shannon. I have the privilege of running for county mayor, and I appreciate this opportunity to have this debate. Thank you to WRJB and all that's involved in making this possible today. I want to tell you just briefly about myself. My name is, as I said, Randy Shannon. I'm the son of Bobby and Joanne Shannon. My father served as sheriff here for many years, so you may have heard of him in the past. I'm married to Jamie. We have one son, Zach Smith, and couldn't be prouder of my family and for the support that they give me. My desire to be mayor is straightforward. I just want to help move this county forward. I want to help position it to be better than it has been in the past, and to see if I can't put the skills that I've accumulated in my life toward making that happen. In my past, I have been a licensed industrial, commercial, residential contractor. I no longer maintain that license, but We did that at one time. I am currently a licensed attorney, and many of you may know me for working at the Career and Tech Center for our school system. I've worked there for 30 years. I've worked in private corporations for 20 years, and I've also been self-employment for about 10 years. So I understand the various dynamics that are facing us in any of the models that we want to talk about. I have a good understanding of the law. I have a good understanding of how to interpret law and to apply the regulations that are necessary to make us better. And I will put all of my skills toward making this a better county that is run smoothly and in a cooperative spirit with all stakeholders. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you for that, Randy. We've got all three candidates introduced here. We're going to get into the question portion of this. Now, one thing I want to pass along, we have a full slate of questions. I'm not exactly sure if we'll be able to get to listener questions, but if you're out there and you've got a question that you would really love to hear asked, that you don't hear asked as we go on during this, please reach out to us at the station. If we have time, we will pass that question on. With that said, we're going to get started. As I've got my alarm going off here. You know, the thing about radio is there's typically a producer. I'm doing double duty right now. But no, big thank you to y'all for joining us. A big thank you to Vicki and Luke as well. It's been a collaborative team effort to make this happen here at the 12th hour. We're glad to have you in. First question. We're going to start off with Mark on this.
Okay.
The first question is going to be fairly simple. What differentiates your platform from these other candidates, and what makes your vision unique to Benton County?
Okay. What differentiates my campaign from theirs, or my vision for Benton County?
Yes.
I see things completely different than both of my opponents on a tax structure and how we need to spend money and projects that we need to do. I think it's been discussed quite well, the projects that have come forth over the last 4 years. I think that both the candidates have worked very good in putting out why each project is not a good idea for Benton County. Of course, each one of them is talking about the other person's project. I just don't see the need for a big $6 million project just to make new county offices and stuff. I think my personal goal is to recruit industry, and I don't want to tie our hands financially to where we're not able to recruit industry. We've got a big blue oval Ford plant coming in West Tennessee. I've already talked to the governor's office and state senator and state rep. They're willing to work with Benton County, but we're going to have to be ready. We have to have the infrastructure ready for these plants, and that's going to cost money. So if our hands are tied to these big projects just to make new county offices and stuff, I just see that as a negative for Benton County. So you'll see me go forward trying to make the infrastructure right and recruiting industry for Benton County.
Sounds good. Next candidate will be you, Randy, on this question. What differentiates your platform from other candidates, and what makes your vision unique?
Well, I bring a unique skill set to the office of county mayor. I work in collaboration with the people, with the county commission, with the board of aldermen, with the other mayors, with state and federal officials. It is my desire to continue to work in a cooperative effort to bring forth projects and work opportunities. While I was acting as interim county mayor, one of the things that I am most proud of is the fact that we helped to revitalize our industrial development board to get it in full force and moving forward, and also hired the first ever industrial development director, Ms. Jennifer Wheatley. Also, while I was there, I was able to work with the county commission and the TRRD board, which is the Tennessee River Resort District Board, to revitalize our Chamber of Commerce. And now it has an executive director, Ms. Lori Matlock, who is doing phenomenal work there. So my goal is to continue to work on industrial recruitment and tourism development. And along the way, there are projects that come along that are being done that will allow us to consolidate things together in one spot and to offload other county properties that have older buildings that are not as in good repair, so that they can be redone by the private corporations and things of that nature. So to make the most of our time, to make the most of our opportunities, that's what I hope to bring to the role as county mayor. And I think that's what differentiates me, my ability to see a larger picture, to work with multiple stakeholders on different levels, and to keep focus on the things that are important. Jobs and tourism. Those are the things that are going to drive us into the future. And if we do not have those, we don't have much of a future at all.
Very good. Now, Mayor Lashlee, your turn. What differentiates your platform from other candidates, and what makes your vision unique?
Well, when I first ran back in 2017, I basically adopted that motto as bold leadership and vision, and part of that was that you could not continue doing the same things that you have been doing in the past decades. All one had to do was look around at an empty Main Street and closed businesses and low wages and high drug use and nothing for our youth, and whatever we were doing wasn't working. And so my whole focus was we weren't going to continue that mindset. I know my opponents say they live here all their life. Well, maybe that's the problem. They've had a lifetime to make something happen, and I didn't. I think the best thing that happened that differentiates me was I was able to get out and see successful communities. I was able to be a part of businesses that were thriving, and basically gave a platform of how to move a community forward. I came here from Dixon County, so I wasn't too far down the road. My heart never left Benton County, of course. And so I was able to pay attention to what happened, and I started studying solutions that we could put into play long before I ever became mayor. That's why when I became mayor, the first thing I did was begin locating a tract of land that we could basically call our playing field for the future industry. You don't have a magic wand in this seat. And when you talk about money, had Mr. Ward maybe attended some meetings and been to my office, he would have understood how the money works on capital projects. Capital projects are important even if you're building county buildings. We're operating out of a 1957 building, a 1968 building, and a 1974 building that were in bad disrepair. So you have to basically upgrade your quality of life elements in the community because people are watching us. And not only that, our future workforce will have to move here to give us the workforce to supply these new businesses that we will create. Just saying that you're not going to upgrade buildings and you're not going to upgrade your community quality of life, that simply shows the inexperience that my opponent has.
Thank you, Brett. Give Mark a chance for a rebuttal, as he was mentioned there.
Yeah, since I was mentioned, I'd like to say I did stay here in Benton County, and I have worked. I've been a county commissioner. I do understand capital projects. My time as county commissioner, I was chairman of the airport committee. I saw the need for T-hangars. We had 30 people on the list wanting to rent T-hangars. We didn't have any. So we got those projects going through grants, and we're still receiving money from those T-hangars today. I also saw the need as chairman of property and economy for us to need a new library. The one we were in was tiny, it was old and dated, and it wasn't serving the community, so we partnered up with Lockhart Heirs. They donated the land, we got grants, and we built the facility that we have today. So, saying that I don't understand capital projects, I would like to say this: the $6 million capital project that he's talking about, you had 2,000 people to sign a petition to want to put it on the ballot. And he decided himself that he was elected to make all the decisions, and he didn't want to listen to the people. So I would like for those 2,000 people to vote for somebody that will listen to them.
Absolutely. We are going to actually, y'all are talking about these petitions and things. We're actually going to have a question that touches on that a little bit. I want to give Brett a chance just real quick to kind of answer back to that.
Well, if you're being told at roadblocks that your taxes are going to go up and you don't understand the financial aspects of how things work, of course, everyone's going to sign up. I would sign up for it, right? But we clearly put forth a plan that did not have a 1 penny increase in the budget. Okay, so we already, again, if you understood the budget, you understood how money works, you would have, and I made that clear when we got out and spoke that this was not even going to have a 1 penny increase in the budget. If your budget increases, sure, you can throw the tax argument in there. But what were you going to do with ag? They've been in a 1957 doctor's clinic for no telling how long. Where's the capital improvement for them? The courthouse is badly outdated. EMA, you've got all these other offices. So again, it was basically an $8.2 million capital project. It was going to address about 14 to 16 needs in the county that at the end of the day, once the grants were applied, once we leveraged our money in the proper places, probably the county would have been out $3 to $3.2 million. So again, those are things that my office was open and people were coming there. We clearly laid out exactly what the net cost would be. And that's at the end of the day, understanding that amount and that it would not increase our taxes 1 penny. That's what Mr. Ward should have understood before he helped start the petition.
One more follow-up.
Sure.
Mr. Ward did understand that, and the $3.2 million you're talking about is money that we're going to have to pay.
That we had the money for.
Hold on just a second. We borrowed already $2.1 million to buy this property and to go forward with it and spend it on getting the facilities checked out and all. If that had have been done properly, we wouldn't be having to discard the Ford Lockhart place and move forward with the project that Randy went forward with. We need to do homework on these projects. I'm in agreement with that 100%.
Yeah.
That's what's got us in the shape we're in.
All right. Like I said, it should be of no surprise as we move forward in this debate. A lot of these questions are centered around the budget and money because that's what matters here in this county. So with that said, here is the next question. I'm going to direct this to Randy first. A little bit of a hypothetical here. I want to see, where your brain may go here is what you could do with this. Let's say, Randy, you win the election. Within a month of you taking office, you receive, through some means, a $1 million grant. Where does your mind go? Where should that money go? What is the best allocation of a windfall like that for this county? I'm asking this question just because I want to see what y'all want to do with money,
I'm going to take that $1 million. I'm going to partner with our Industrial Development Board, and we're going to build a spec building and put in a production manufacturing plant that would already like to be here. That's what I'm going to do with that money. And if I had an opportunity to do that, that would be fantastic. And I hope we find that person and get that done, because to have that opportunity to bring in high-paying jobs here that are going to supplement our manufacturing sector that's already in our county, and to have that ready for us to go would be a great, great thing. And we've already taken great strides to make that happen, and we're just looking to get everything in place. And regrettably, whichever side of the issue you're on, regrettably, this is a problem that Putin caused because of the invasion in Ukraine, which sent other things, made it a little bit unstable. And so the people who were going to come here are now holding off just a little bit to see how things move in that part of the world. So I don't have to worry about it long. I know exactly what to do with that money to put it to use for Benton County.
It was a very definitive answer right there. Mayor Lashlee, your turn. $1 million as mayor. What are you wanting to do with it?
Well, it's not a hypothetical question. Our county has probably received more grant money than it ever has in the last 3 years at any moment in the history of this county, okay? My question is going to be is how restrictive is that grant? How discretionary is it?
For the sake of hypothetical, you can apply it to anything.
And I was going to say that our county has been fortunate to receive these very discretionary grants. One of them we call the governor's grant, but it was basically an economic stimulus type grant with very low strings tied to it. We actually utilized that grant and banked the money to use that as matching monies towards other grants. $800,000 was put into an account that we were able to pull $725,000 in other grants for, 100% grants. So we leveraged money to make money. But what would I do with $1 million today? Plain and simple, I want to address a lot of Big Sandy's needs. They have a city park up there that we've got to get that done. I would like to locate somewhat of an annex up in Big Sandy so that we can begin putting our trustee and our clerk's office, maybe a sheriff's deputy office, their library. I want to basically locate a building in Big Sandy that we can do that and have a county annex. I know that Big Sandy has a sidewalk project that we would like to put in. It's a state, we call it the multimodal grant that's worth $1 million that the county only has to come to the table with $50,000. I want to use part of that grant as that matching money to begin improving their sidewalk structure so people can walk from school to the town center. And then lastly, I would say that we're also looking at FEMA storm shelters for Big Sandy. I would like to use that money to be able to match whatever requirements that FEMA would have of us to get that. But pretty much I would say a good $700,000, maybe $800,000 could literally be spent in Big Sandy alone, because we've got monies elsewhere in other accounts to address the needs of Camden and our rest of our county.
All right. And to Mark, $1 million, spend it any way you want as mayor. Where's your mind going on that?
I have to agree with Brett on Big Sandy. They've been kind of shunned for too long, and I can see the needs for helping Big Sandy with certain projects. I'm not for growing government. I'm definitely not for putting a clerk's office and another courthouse in Big Sandy. You know, that don't make any sense to me at all. The $1 million at this point, if it was given to me today and I was mayor, I would spend all of it at the interstate, buying land, getting a new substation up there from the electric company so we could put some industry right there on I-40. That's where the governor has told us repeatedly that that's where we need to do industry if we're going to do it, especially with the Ford plant coming in West Tennessee. They need to be able to get off, pick up their stuff, and get it to the Ford plant, not come all the way into Camden and go around the bypass and down Natchez Trace Road and all. So I would do it to fix things in Holiday for industrial recruitment.
All right, very well. We've got one more question before we take our first break of the afternoon here. And this one will be directed to Mayor Lashlee first. The position of mayor, of course, is a lot like being the CFO of the county. By my estimation, and I'm not a good counter here, never been good at math, but you oversee and manage roughly 17 different departments as mayor in this county. What makes you the right person to ensure that each department stays compliant not only with county but state and national regulations as well?
Well, internally, you know, our office is small, and the mayor's office acts as the CFO, but thankfully we have the state comptroller's office as pretty much the backbone. Actually, Benton County is an extension of the state of Tennessee. It's not like we're 13 colonies and we started ourselves. We actually fall under the purviews of the state of Tennessee and the oversight. So the state comptroller basically conducts our audits. Now, from the front end, the mayor's office is very important because we basically will delegate and distribute monies that we receive through the year and make our bills and our payments and basically county operations. The audits are what we are probably the weakest in and don't have the capacity to do internally, so again, we rely on the state of Tennessee for that. But again, the mayor is the chief financial officer of the county, is very prevalent, or should be, I believe, in structuring our budget. Right now, the way our county private acts are, the mayor's office is technically a third party to that, or I'd say a second party, but not a direct authority over that. The county commission is who basically constructs our budget, and the mayor's office executes it. Doesn't mean that it doesn't have influence over it, but at the end of the day, the county commission has the influence over the budget. I believe it should come from the administrative level, and it should be my job as a mayor to sell this to the county commission to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So I believe we've got a weakness in our private acts when it comes to financial management. We can improve that. Again, give me another 4 years and we'll work on seeing where we can make those changes, where we can act more in a partnership.
All right. Now to you, Mark, I'll repeat the question. Of course, with the mayor being a lot like the CFO of the county, you oversee and manage a lot of different departments. What makes you the right person to ensure that each one stays compliant with not only county but state and national regulations and laws as well?
Well, the mayor's office is not the CFO of the county. I think the county commission acts as a CFO. They're the ones that tell the mayor what to do, and that's the way it should be.
Okay.
The mayor executes what the county commission tells them. That's why you have 18 representatives from all over the county making these decisions for the people, because they represent the people. I know that we have oversight of that and have input on it as a mayor, but I'm not over, if I was mayor, the trustee's office or the register of deeds office, and it's set up that way on purpose. You don't want one person controlling everything in the county. You need other people over those offices, and you just turn in the paperwork and make sure they're compliant. And like he said, the state does their audits of each office every year and lets everyone know what's going on. The county commission, I think personally, the county commission's the chief financial officers of the county.
Very well. That's, and Brett, I can tell you kind of disagree with that. We've actually got a question that will really touch on that matter as far as the role of the county commission. That'll be coming up. So we'll wait on that for right now. But Randy? It's your turn now. I want to ask you, as mayor, overseeing all of these different departments, what makes you the right person to ensure that each one stays compliant on every level?
Well, by statute, the mayor is the chief financial officer for the county. It's one of the job responsibilities. So with that being said, that just highlights the point that having a law degree and being able to read and interpret and understand what statutes and regulations means that I would be able to give advisory information to various office holders who are independent. The Register of Deeds is an independent office. And it is true that the county commission sets the budget, but to set in on those budget things to provide input and insight and whatnot as comes available, to do some investigation for them that they may have need of. There was a very interesting thing hung up on the county property today about it was a act of vandalism about myself, and had one of my campaign signs that had been stolen, and then a big draped cloth. You can go on my Benton County, Randy Shannon for mayor, and see pictures of it. And it said that I had asked the budget committee to increase property taxes multiple times. Many times Randy asked this for this. Well, that's just a blatant line of vandalism and act of cowardice on behalf of those people that did that. But it goes to highlight the fact that the county commission does set the budget, and the mayor is the chief financial officer. And so to make sure that we're in compliance, that's where the comptroller, as Mr. Lashlee said, that's where the comptroller comes in, to work hand in hand. That's why we have an incomparable budget administrator like Ashley Travis, who does a tremendous job, and I think Mayor Lashlee would agree with me that she's absolutely a wonderful asset in that office to do all that she does to help keep the mayor and the comptroller informed on what's going on, and all the various stakeholder and county commissioners. So again, why? Because I'm a lawyer, and it would help understand those regulations. Thank you.
Very good, very good. That's 3 questions down, and we've still got plenty to go. About to really get into the meat of it. First, we're going to take a quick 2.5-minute break and thank our sponsors for making this possible. We'll be right back. Craig's Pizza, located at 117 West Main Street in Camden, is the place to go if you're craving a meal that only a hometown staple can provide. They've got pizza, sandwiches, lasagna, wings, and so much more. Take it from me, you won't find better pizza around, and that's coming from a guy who loves to eat. Open Monday through Friday from 3 to 9. Craig's is the easy choice when you want big city flavor in a small town package. That's Craig's Pizza.
Hey y'all, this is Stephanie with Hyperion X. We're proud to be a sponsor of the 2022 Benton County Mayoral Debate. We love Benton County and believe in a brighter future, which is why we're so excited about this debate. Every person matters and every vote matters. We hope you hit the polls and exercise your right to vote. Benton County is stronger when we're all in this together. Come see me and the team at Hyperion X if you've got any questions about what we do in this beautiful county.
Honey, sometimes you find something that seems great until things get out of control. Then you realize that something that helps you set realistic goals makes life better.
Are you talking about Dad?
No, your new Swipe Smart debit card from First Bank. You get freedom, and I get peace of mind with no worries about overdraft fees. Oh, yeah, I was talking about your dad, too.
Outsmart fees with Swipe Smart Checking. Go to firstbankonline.com/swipesmart. Member FDIC.
Hello, I'm David Johnson, Republican candidate for Circuit Court Clerk. Over the past 15 years, I've had the honor of serving Benton County as the Youth Services Officer and Director of Juvenile Court. During this time, I've secured over $1.8 million in grant funds and implemented numerous programs, this resulting in the lowest juvenile crime rate for Benton County in well over 30 years. Before this, I served as a security policeman on active duty in the United States Air Force for 10 years. Please allow me the honor of serving Benton County as your next Circuit Court Clerk. I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
This message paid for by the candidate. Nobody really enjoys having to go to a body shop, but almost all of us have been there at some point in our life. Where you go to matters, and when you go to the shop, it's you and your ride that matter. Locally owned and operated in Camden for over 35 years, the folks at the shop have over 85 years of combined experience. Located at 566 Arnold Drive in Camden, they've got top-of-the-line work done with PPG paints in a semi-downdraft paint booth. The shop is able to work with any insurance company out there. Next time you need body work done, do yourself a favor. Give the folks at the shop a call, 731-584-8834. A big thank you to those sponsors for making this possible here. We're right past 2:30 on this Thursday afternoon, and we're in the middle of the 2022 Benton County Mayoral Debate. We've gone through a few questions. Now we're going to get into the meat of it. We've been talking about the budget kind of here and there. It's factored into almost every question, but now we're really going to focus on the budget. I hear all sorts of things about the county budget. You know, I talk to people. Some say the county budget is more than enough. Some say it's nowhere near enough. A lot of departments and agencies, you can see them in the county commission meetings, they're coming there kind of pounding the table for more funds, saying that they are underfunded. My understanding here is that operational expenses, of course, in the county have risen some due to inflation, as has everything else in life. And there's some worries that revenues might not be keeping the pace. As mayor, what changes would you like to see in the county budget to kind of stabilize it here moving forward?
Good question. You know, a lot of people don't realize how the county budget even works. You know, most of it, or a lot of it, comes from property tax. A lot of it comes from sales tax and other revenues that we get from people at the landfill. They pay a tipping fee, and it comes in from various places, but the one that everybody's worried about the most is the property tax, because that comes directly out of the people's pocket. I will say this: in 2018, we were bringing in roughly $3.8 million on property tax, and every year since 2018, we've come up with $100,000 more dollars each year, all the way up to we're bringing in $4.3 million now in 2022 without a tax increase. That comes from just the new houses and new businesses and stuff that's being built. What happened to that $100,000 a year? That's a question. That's something that I want to find out as mayor, because $100,000 a year, that's over $1 million over the last 5 years. That wasn't budgeted in 2018, but it is now. It's gone out in just raises, hiring new people, doing projects, buying land, doing all these things. If it's managed properly, you don't have to have a tax increase, as long as there's things being built. And it's shown since 2018. I know we've had a big housing boom and all since 2018, and that's helped a lot. But how much more money has come in on sales tax since all these prices have went up? People continue to buy that. I haven't looked into that, but I don't know how much money the county's bringing in now as opposed to 5 years ago, but I do know on property tax. So that's something that I want to look into and find out. But I would just like to say, I don't think that a property tax is always something you need to do just to keep up with inflation.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and tell you, when we get through this round of questions, property tax will be up next. Okay. Randy, to you now. If with the budget, with the unhappiness that we have amongst the community, amongst some people, what would you do as mayor to what changes would you make, quite simply?
Well, we're at a point that even with growth, with rising costs, our budget this year is razor thin. I think both the other two would agree with that, and certainly Mayor Lashlee will have a moment just to give his thoughts on it. But our budget is razor thin as it is. This year, to balance the budget, we had to make drastic cuts in the sheriff's department. The school system took some cuts, and other things of that nature. And so that has to all be looked at. And, you know, you have to look at every department and to see, is there adequate staffing or is there overstaffing? And if there happens to be overstaffing, then there needs to be hard conversation with those people who have been elected or appointed to run those offices. And certainly there's not been overstaffing in the mayor's office. There's only 3 people working in there, and they work hard every day. But in other offices, it could be. I'm not saying that there is, but that's where we're at, and to have to look at that. And if it turns out that we're adequately staffed, doing what needs to be done, and we're running a razor-thin margin on our budget, that's a crisis event. That is where you are borrowing money against the property tax that's going to be coming in later. And we don't need to be there. We've been there in the past, and we don't need to return to that. So we need to have an adequately funded budget that handles the needs and expectations for the county. And again, we need to have some very serious conversations. We need to have commissioner input. We need to have citizen input. But at the point where we all agree that this is what we want, an animal shelter, a library, a senior citizen center, and we want all of those things as we have them. We want a sheriff's department that has adequate staff on hand to patrol this county the way it needs to be patrolled, that we have a school system that's funded that has what it needs to provide a quality education for our students. If at the end of the day we agree that this is what we want, then we're going to have to look at how we make that happen, or we're going to have to cut services. Thank you.
Okay. Mayor Lashlee, your turn now. I want to ask you, same question as them. What changes?
I understand. At the end of the day, a budget is simply a best guess. There's no actual, sometimes you try to get as accurate as you can, but at the end of the day, a budget is simply your projection of where you think the money is going to come from. We've had record revenues in every single category of tax collections that you can think of, whether it be property, severance, sales. We've had more money flowing into our county than at any time in our history. And so knowing where those pots of money go to is where experience comes in. I'm going to say there's close to 8 to 10 pots of money that government technically can pull from to fund different agencies and different departments. There's probably about 4, maybe 5, if you want to count grants as a pot, that we truly operate from. Property taxes have been gradually increasing, although our population is going down. We're technically not having a housing boom. We're just simply have remodeling of houses and people coming in and reconstruction. And so that construction has driven valuations up, as well as simply people moving here and paying a higher price. And that has been favorable to our property tax collections, which goes to your basic government operations. Okay. But if you're going to do capital improvements, if you're going to do things like industrial parks, if you're going to go outside of your basic operations and your long-term planning, we look at debt service mainly, which is driven from our sales taxes. So sales taxes, again, record levels. So I was kind of dumbfounded a little bit to come into a budget that was sticking me with a 15-cent tax increase. Thankfully, I got home in time to be able to influence that where we didn't have a tax increase. I don't believe we need a tax increase so long as you keep your government operations at a low level. But you've got to be realistic that prices don't go down, wages don't go down. So you've got to keep in mind that you can face inflation, you can face a recession, and you can face tough economic times that do challenge your budgets at times. I feel confident that we can continue keeping our property tax rate where it is and pull from these other pots of money for our growth.
All right. Well, we're talking about the property tax was mentioned there a bunch, and that is my next question. It's a pretty straightforward question. Of course, we will ask this first to Randy this go-around. We're a small county. There's no doubts about it. We're a small rural county. Typically, when you look across how different counties do it, typically small rural counties are funded in large part by a property tax. We have a relatively low one. I'm sure y'all could tell me a little bit more about it. I've heard lowest in the state. Didn't have time to look it up. I didn't think that was so, but it's on the lower end from my understanding. With that said, what is your stance on a property tax increase? I'm not asking if it's a part of your plan. I'm not asking if it's a part of your actions, but I'm asking, do you believe it's something that may need to be looked at in the future, and do you believe it's a viable option?
I think if inflation continues to go, the only way that you can have government, I mean, that is a catch-22 question in one sense. I don't understand how to get around that if costs continue to rise. But I think with proper management, I think with due diligence that I spoke of in the previous question, where we are looking seriously at who's doing what, when, and how, and are there the right numbers in the right places, and everybody has what is adequate for the function for which they provide. And for sheriff's departments, do they have adequate supply to make sure that they keep prisoners safe, and that they can patrol and police the county, and to do what's needed to provide for the safety of the deputies who go out every day and take calls that can be quite dangerous. So with that being said, I don't like property taxes at all. I don't pay mine until the very last possible moment. I hate it. Every time I write the check, I fuss and complain. But my dad always said, son, if you're paying property taxes, at least you have something that you got for a time, because we're only stewards for a time. We don't own anything. And so I want to keep property taxes low. I want to use our money in the soundest fiscal way that it can be done, and that's why we need to maximize grants for projects that we have. That's why we need to maximize the way we look at things and to do things differently than we have in the past, because I believe a definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And so until you can look at something outside of the box, until you can grow and see things from a different perspective, you're never going to break out of that box. And so that's what I hope to bring, and that's my thoughts on property taxes, is that I don't really like to have them, but they are a necessary evil.
Thank you for your answer. Now to Mayor Lashlee, your thoughts on a property tax moving forward.
First of all, I'm going to fight as hard as I can to maintain our current property tax level. We were the first governmental body probably in my lifetime that I know of that we lowered the property tax rate 22 cents. And we did that because we wanted to get to somewhat of a baseline of where we stood financially. So far, we've been able to live within our means. When you talk about the lowest property tax in the state, it's not, there are other counties with lower rates, but they have other taxes in place that make up for their, I guess you can say, the differential between property and the other taxes. So we're not the lowest, but it's the only main tax that we pull from to run government. But nothing will suppress private or public investment more than property taxes. So anytime you increase property taxes, you actually risk hurting your exterior economy. Okay, again, we lowered taxes 22 cents. First time in my lifetime of knowing in Benton County that they ever lower it, and yet we still have record revenues. Okay, so that's, I believe we can make it as we are. Again, I walked into a 15-cent property tax rate proposed increase, and not only that, the nuclear option was discussed before I got here, which I understood was actually raising property taxes multiple times over multiple budgets. Like I say, thankfully I got here enough to be able to show, no, our revenues are there. You're not putting the proper numbers in the proper places to show the actual numbers that our economy is better than we project, okay? COVID was supposed to have a very negative impact on us, yet our sales and property tax revenues are at record levels. So something's not jiving here. I do believe that we had an economy facing us that was very concerning, okay? Gas prices, everything going up. My proposal is to come back in January with an amended budget. If the economic numbers start to show favorable, I believe we need an amended budget to get the salary increases back in play and to address some deficiencies that this budget cut.
All right. And to you, Mark.
Okay, great. This is something that I really am concerned about. What Mr. Lashlee said is he come into a county commission that was looking at a 15-cent tax increase. The reason they were looking at that is because of all the money that's been spent over the 4 years, adding positions, giving raises, and doing these projects, borrowing money. That was the real projection. Now, just because you change how much money you think you're going to bring in, all that's going to do in an election year to not raise taxes to cover what you've spent is probably in April or May of next year, we'll run out of money. We'll be looking at borrowing money to pay salaries. That's as simple as that. But I wanted to address Brett, what he said, and you can let him rebut, that'll be fine. But when we was on the Mike Weatherford show, he gave that same spiel about how he lowered taxes 22 cents. I talked to him after the show and I said, you're misleading the people. You didn't lower taxes. you had a reappraisal, and the reappraisal raised everybody's values up. The state lowered the tax rate to bring in the exact same amount as it would have been bringing in at the rate that it was. They lowered the rate down to $273, so your taxes are the same. So don't be misrepresented there. The taxes are the same. The tax rate is what the state set it. And historically, if you look at the past, I want everyone to know, starting in the 70s, we was doing pretty good, but every time we had a reappraisal, the taxes would go down. That's not the first time in our lifetime in Benton County. It's every time we have a reappraisal, the taxes go down, unless it's like it has been for the last 7 or 8 years. They've kept the tax rate the same, which is a huge tax increase. But I just want people to know that in 1981-82, our tax rate was $5.35, almost double what it is now. And in 83, it was $5.35, but after the reappraisal, it went down to $1.90. You look at the huge, it dropped in less than half in 1984. And then every reappraisal after that, it dropped down. It's not the first time it's happened. It happens, matter of fact, it was law all the way up until somewhere in the 90s that you could not raise the tax rate during a reappraisal year. So every single time we've had a reappraisal and they've raised our property values, your tax rate has went down, but you're still paying the same amount of taxes. So I just wanted to address that because I went up to the trustee's office and looked at this, and man, in the 70s and 80s, it was bad. We were paying $5 plus most of those years. So the county commission have to applaud them. They've got it together. These last 15 years, they've kept it pretty steady, under $3, and I applaud them for that.
All right, thank you for that, Brett. Going to give you a chance to respond.
Well, I love it when inexperience shows itself because Mr. Ward is, I guess, speaking from both sides of his mouth. The state does not come in and lower our property rate. It takes a legislative action by the county body to raise or increase taxes for us. So the state comes in and does a reevaluation, and they say, per our valuations of your properties, your rate should be at this rate, right? Now, 9 out of 10 counties across the state of Tennessee normally keep the rate where it was previously, as Mr. Ward said. That would equate to normally a tax increase by just keeping it where it is. But the legislative body has to take action to lower that rate. The state does not set that rate. Only the county legislative body is authorized to do that, which we did. And no one was actually fighting for that except for myself. I said, we want an even playing field. We want to be where the state certified rate is because I want to know if we're living within our means. That is the best measure of saying you're not taking in any more money the next year than the previous year. You're keeping everything on an even keel, and we did that. All counties never do that. They keep the same rate in place. It's a kind of a psychological ploy to make the people think that, we kept the same rate, but when in fact it really is a tax increase. Again, valuations are what's going to determine what your property tax is going to be. I'm one that says, if you invest $100,000 in a home, you don't want that home going down to $50,000. You want that home to protect your value going up, or at least maintaining the same. Ours was actually in a decline for over 20 years. Ours had been steadily declining, as was our population. So the fact that we were able to lower that rate down to the state suggested certified rate, which again is just their calculation. It's a guess. It's not nothing, and still realize record property tax revenues, I think was a great financial move for the county.
All right, I want to give you a chance.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
That is not true, what you said. The state does set the rate, and the county commission does vote on it to accept that rate, or they have to do a tax increase. And our county commission did vote to set that rate. Most counties in Tennessee do not keep their same rate. They do go down to the state rate, and they work their way back up during that 5-year period. If they need more money, they'll do a small increment, like 3 to 5 cents normally, not 22 cents. So that's a correction.
Randy, want to let you weigh in on this?
Thank you very much. The State Comptroller's Office comes in, sets the certified tax rate that they say will generate the same amount of taxes. The County Commission can choose to accept that just by approval of the budget with that tax rate, or they can choose to change it. They can go lower than that certified tax rate, or they can go higher than that certified tax rate. The only stipulation is that prior to the vote that the County Commission exercises is that they have a public hearing announcing their intent to deviate from that certified tax rate. So Mayor Lashlee stated correctly that the County Commission sets the rate. That's the tax levy. And the certified tax rate from the Comptroller's Office says that it will generate the same dollars, which is what you and I pay when we go pay our property. I pay the same, you pay the same, roughly thereabouts. Some paid a little more, some paid a little less. But by and large, the county's going to bring in the same amount of money. So that's what the certified tax rate says. Ryan Hall, our assessor of property, was fighting for that, to have that going in as well. And so as we look at that, just as a point of clarification, the County Commission does set the tax rate, always, unless there's an impasse, and that's something that we don't want to ever see here, and then it gets to the Comptroller's Office way down the road. But the County Commission, exercising its control, does set the tax levy in all cases. And if it doesn't want to use a certified tax rate, there are procedures where it has to do to change that certified tax rate. So there's the clarification as to what the law says.
Thank you for that.
I agree with that. I would like to say Ryan Hall did an excellent job Saturday morning explaining this to the people. I don't know if you have that on your YouTube channel.
It's on our Facebook, actually.
Facebook.
It actually, yeah, it's on our YouTube as well.
I would urge everyone to go and listen to Ryan Hall, because he was fighting to keep the tax rate at what the state said it. He didn't want to see the tax rates go up after a reappraisal year, and he did an outstanding job explaining that. So I would urge everybody to go look at that if they have time.
All right, thank you for that. We've got one more question before we take another break. It's the last question that's truly budget-centric, so to speak. And we'll direct this to Mayor Lashlee first. What steps would you take to put our county on a firmer financial footing? When I say that, I'm saying, what would be your immediate steps? If you could snap your fingers and do a thing or two to make this county be in just stronger financial setting, what would it be?
Industrial expansion. Economic and industrial expansion, because that basically, when we talk about property tax rates, that affects business too, right? And you look at Humphreys County, which is the same size as Benton population-wise, but they have nearly two times the property tax intake, right? And it's because of their business and industrial footprint that they have over there. Benton County will have a very weak one, and so my first wave a magic wand, make it happen. Now, I like what Mr. Ward said. My preference would be to have it at large industrial park at the interstate. That's 25 or 30 years down the road. We've got to look and see where we are, where the quick wins are. And that's with our existing industrial park, which again has a weak footprint because of the size lots that are available. That's why we identified 555 acres out on the Highway 70 bypass as one of our, I think it's the most significant move the county's ever made, ever, in its history. And so that particular future industrial park will make the difference with higher wages, property investment by business, which will, again, begin driving those numbers up, that we can fund the sheriff's department much better, that we can fund our schools much better, we can fund other county operations much better, in addition to putting more money in a individual's pocketbook to go out and spend and build bigger houses and buy more things and generate that internal economy that we need. It's only going to happen with more or better higher paying jobs, and we're only going to get better and higher paying jobs by having a landing field for these investors, business investors, to be able to develop on, and that's the industrial park out on Highway 70 West.
All right. Now to you, Mark. What couple quick steps, if you could take them, would you take to put us on firmer financial footing?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I think we're on firm financial footing. We just have to make sure that we're spending the money correctly that we have coming in. Everybody wants to see the county do better. And my number one thing, if I'm elected, will be industrial recruitment. You have to expand your footprint with the tax base, and the only way to do that is through industry. We've failed that my whole lifetime. Every leader we've had, everybody campaigns and says, I'm going to recruit industry. I'm going to recruit industry. We've never had a mayor that's actually recruited industry. And that's why I, as a businessman, I can see what we need to do. I understand it. I've got friends in all the places that we need to help us recruit industry. And I can see over the next, not 20 years, but over the next 4 or 5 years, being able to get 3 or 4 plants in here that pay good. That's going to help more than anything. The second thing is we need to be educating our people to be able to work. I'm all for trying to get a technical school in here, not one just like what we have now. I mean, and it's great the one we have now, but one that when you get out of it, you're certified as a nurse, as a HVAC person, electricity, electronics, anything that we can do to educate our kids or adults to be able to get a better paying job. You know, I do a lot of business with the plumbers and HVAC people around town. They can't find help. They can't find anybody that's qualified. So that's the number 2 thing. But the number 1 thing will be industrial recruitment. I don't know why we would tie our hands with 500 acres right here in the middle of the city when the governor's already said for 4 years now, we will help you with grants. We will help you with your infrastructure. We'll help you with all this if you'll put it on the interstate. He knows what's coming. He knows where it needs to be. We need to be listening to him. Don't tie our hands with this 500-acre project before I get in, please, because we need to do it where the governor says.
You know nothing of what you say.
We'll come back to this. I want to give Randy a chance to speak first. Randy, question to you. If you could snap your fingers and make a step or two to put us on firmer financial footing, what would it be?
Obviously, the answer is in industrial recruitment. I spoke to the governor. I'd heard Mr. Ward mention this earlier about at a different time and about helping with the south end of the county. So I asked the governor at the fish fry when he came to Benton County, what exactly was he talking about? Because if he had those plans for us, then we needed to move forward. And no disrespect to Mr. Ward, but he didn't remember a conversation about anything at the south end of the county in Holiday. But that being said, is that we need to have industrial recruitment that is driving multiplying numbers. So for every job that we have in this sector, it generates more. Mayor Lashlee and I was in a meeting where we were talking to the Lodestone, which was a grant that came in with he and I working together. He, as the mayor, of course, and I working with 3-Star and other good people such as Heather Smith. We got this facility coming in where they did an analysis of where Benton County is, and they want to help us to not only grow industrial footprint, but they also want to help us move into small entrepreneurial growth and bringing in partnerships where we have private investors who are looking for that next $1 million idea. Think of it, if you will, kind of like Shark Tank, except for no TVs, okay? And Mark Cuban's not here either, you know. So as we think about that sort of development that takes place, and also as Mr. Ward said, we already have plans to try to get a TCAT coming here so that we can have a build on the program we already have. An LPN class is already in Benton County. I worked with TCAT Parish to keep it in Benton County. It was leaving, and I said, don't do it. Give us an opportunity to see what we can do, and to add in other classes like manufacturing, carpentry, residential construction, whatever the cases may be, whatever the needs of this citizenry are. So workforce development, industrial development, small business growth, and a continuation on making sure that we're making firm and sound fiscal decisions where everybody understands what is taking place and has input into the decisions that are impacting them.
Thank you for that, Randy. Before we take a break, I want to circle back for a second with y'all talking about, Mark and Mayor Lashlee talking about the industrial park. I want to give you a chance to respond first.
Well, first of all, I've been looking at the interstate since 2012, and I've been talking to EC, Economic Community Development, since 2012. I know all the personnel in there about what it would take. Just to give you a ballpark figure, probably $25 to $30 million just to acquire and develop the land before you've ever recruited one business there. Just to have a playing field ready, financially, it would definitely have the biggest return, but is it realistic? No. So we have to have that quick win. We have to have that piece of property that's going to get us through between now and the next 20 years. The 565 acres up here will probably cost us $1.7 to $2 million to acquire, of which we hoped the state will step up in TVA, They'll probably pay for half, but that's a opportunity for the future of this county. And so long as I'm mayor, we're going to move forward with the acquisition of that property, so long as TVA comes back and gives us a thumbs up and says the property checks out. You've got to have that quick win, and that is our best quick win, so that we can eventually build an industrial park at the interstate. But that's 25, 30 years down the road before you can pull it off, and it's at least $25 million in today's dollars to make that happen.
Thank you. Anything you want to say in rebuttal to that before we go to break, Mark?
Just that we've had an industrial park for my whole lifetime, and we still have plenty of room there for more industry, and to tie our hands to do one here. I'm all for a quick win, but if we have somebody that's looking for it and all, we have a place. So I think we should put it where the leaders, listen, I came into your office with Ben Thompson, if you'll remember, when you first took office. And what was our plan for Benton County then? We were trying to work with you. We had already talked to the governor, the state senator, and state rep. We want to put it on the interstate. That's what they said 4 years ago. That's what they're still saying today. So I'm going to listen to our leaders. I'm going to try to help Benton County grow. I want a quick win, but I don't think putting us in debt for another $1.7 million to add to an industrial park that has sat there stagnant for years is going to help. We need to listen to the people who are going to be able to help us do this. That's just my opinion.
Attend the industrial board meetings, and you'll understand why, what the dynamic is with our current industrial park. We have 2 parcels out there available for sale that are too small for what the requests that we're getting for the properties. So I'll address this later, but hey, no one knows people in government better than I do, and I've not heard this conversation one time about locating at the interstate. I've never heard this, and so again, we want that, but so far I've heard that you're against 555 acres, which is the future industrial footprint of the county. I've heard that you're against raising salaries because you're something about property taxes or whatever. I mean, you're just against. I wrote it down when you were talking.
I did not
over
say
here.
That.
You're against raises, is what you said.
No, I did not.
Well, the video will tell. But at the end of the day, you're against. You're against. You're against. You know, I'm the mayor that says I'm for. But I'm going to figure out how to get to that. I don't say no. I want to say yes and find out how we're going to get to that yes. And that's where experience and capability comes in. Obviously, my opponent doesn't have it. I do.
You've proven that in 4 years. You've got a track record. I wish that you would run on your track record and how much industry you've recruited since you've been here. Give me 4 years.
The playing field. Hey, you got to have a playing field to recruit to. Again, you've got this magic wand that you wave. You're totally unrealistic about how things work.
I do have to address this. What he said about me being against raises, I'm not. I'm for a living wage for all employees. I said the reason that we don't have excess money now and the reason that we're having to raise our projections on how much we're bringing in is because of all the new positions and raises and stuff that you gave this year. I'm not against them at all if we have the money for them. I want everybody to make as much as they can.
Do you know how many positions we've added? Do you have that number?
I don't.
But you're throwing that out. But you obviously are saying that. I know as far as my office, we've added 1 janitorial position.
No, I'm not talking about your office. I'm talking for the county.
Okay, again, you'd have to talk to those particular departments, but I have not added any.
I'm talking about the ones that you've added.
Okay, I've added 1 janitorial office to the mayor's office.
What about
that is how much I have
added. What about for county maintenance?
County maintenance, we had a part-time position that is a floater position that it serves multiple departments.
Well, you made 1 full-time and you added another part-time since you've been in office.
Would you say that we've got these county buildings that you're going to throw all that on one person's back?
I'm asking you how many positions and you're refusing to tell me.
Okay, let's say 2 positions.
Industrial recruiter? Grant writers?
I'm for that.
Chamber of Commerce?
No grant writers. No chamber. I'm support Mayor Shannon's
Economic
position
development.
in that. Sorry, you're looking to say no.
No,
I look to say yes.
I didn't say no.
You're against. You're against.
We'll get back. Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, we've got plenty more to come. I wanted to give Randy a minute.
We got more good things to be said.
I want to give Randy a minute here. He had something to say.
Well, I will say that when I had an opportunity to do this, I put somebody in place for economic development for the first time ever, and I partnered with our Industrial Development Board to pay $25,000 toward that salary. And so that actually allowed me to cut the mayor's budget buy that $25,000 and more. So when you talk about adding positions, if you're cutting more out of your budget than you're adding for the cost of the employee, let's do that every day, okay? Get a person for less than we paid the previous year. So when you come to somebody wanting to be focused on industrial development and tourism, I've already shown you what I'm going to do, and that's to put together a team that works for the betterment of this county and its citizens, period. Thank you for that time.
All right, we're 5 minutes past 3. We need to take another break. We're not done here. I've got at least 4 more questions for you here. I want to thank all of our sponsors. There we go. Y'all been doing all the talking. I forgot how to talk. I was just sitting here listening. But we'll be right back in about 2.5 minutes with more questions.
How do you know you're in a community, not just a town? Well, strangers smile as they walk by. They refill your coffee without you asking. And when you ask directions, people offer to walk you there. Communities give more. The way you know when you walk into First Bank that you are in a real community bank. Great products, direct access to your local bankers, and relationships that can last a lifetime. Don't just have an account. Have a community with First Bank. Member FDIC.
Hey y'all, this is Stephanie with Hyperion X. We're proud to be a sponsor of the 2022 Benton County Mayoral Debate. We love Benton County and believe in a brighter future, which is why we're so excited about this debate. Every person matters and every vote matters. We hope you hit the polls and exercise your right to vote. Benton County is stronger when we're all in this together. Come see me and the team at Hyperion X if you've got any questions about what we do in this beautiful county.
Hello, I'm David Johnson, Republican candidate for Circuit Court Clerk. Over the past 15 years, I've had the honor of serving Benton County as the Youth Services Officer and Director of Juvenile Court. During this time, I've secured over $1.8 million in grant funds and implemented numerous programs, this resulting in the lowest juvenile crime rate for Benton County in well over 30 years. Before this, I served as a security policeman on active duty in the United States Air Force for 10 years. Please allow me the honor of serving Benton County as your next Circuit Court Clerk. I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
This message paid for by the candidate. Craig's Pizza, located at 117 West Main Street in Camden, is the place to go if you're craving a meal that only a hometown staple can provide. They've got pizza, sandwiches, lasagna, wings, and so much more. Take it from me, you won't find better pizza around, and that's coming from a guy who loves to eat. Open Monday through Friday from 3 to 9. Craig's is the easy choice when you want big city flavor in a small town package. That's Craig's Pizza.
Hey folks, this is Dwayne Fowler. I'm currently the 4th District Commissioner. I'd like to say I'm proud to be supporting this mayoral debate. I hope it is very informative to all the Benton County voters, and I encourage everyone to get out and vote. If you are a resident of the 4th District, I would really appreciate you considering Dwayne Fowler as one of your commissioners.
Paid for by Dwayne Fowler, candidate for 4th District Commissioner.
WRJB, Camden.
Welcome back to the 2022 Benton County Mayoral Debate. We've been here at it for a little over an hour, and hopefully everybody out there in Radio Land, YouTube Land, and anywhere else is getting a better idea of each of these 3 candidates that are seeking election. We've got 4 more questions left, and I've got these titled Growth. We've talked about the budget a lot. We've kind of talked about visions. Now I want to know where you want to see this county grow. And it all runs hand in hand. It truly does. But one thing I hear about in this county, and we'll direct this question, I believe it is Mark's turn to answer first, is there's always this push and pull battle between, do we need travel and tourism? Do we need industry? Can both exist? I also hear a lot about developing the lake. I hear about developing more in town, and of course, developing down at the interstate. What do you prioritize the most out of all of those?
Have a happy balance between all of them. They're very important in this part of, we're an economically distressed county, so tourism is something that we should be able to grow and help out Benton County. But my number one goal will be industrial recruitment. We've already touched on that. And I think that it should be at the Holiday, at the interstate area. But we have so many things in Benton County to offer. We have the rail, we have gravel, we have sand. So there's all kinds of different industries that we could be recruiting. just like the Ford plant, for the glass plant, we have the sand for that. It would be a perfect location. So we need to be working with them for that. But the tourism, I think, is just as important. We have a lot of people that want to come here because of Kentucky Lake, and I think we need to be working on all aspects, and I think we can, but the number one goal will be industrial recruitment.
Thank you for that, Mark. Now directed to you, Randy.
Would you repeat the question?
Sure. I mentioned that, of course, I hear a lot of people talk about the push and pull between travel and tourism and industry as far as growing this county, and I also hear people talk about the locations a lot. Some want to develop the lake, some want to see the interstate developed, some want to see more done in town right here. Where do you believe is the highest priority for you and your vision?
The easiest thing for us to capitalize on right now is tourism. Because we already have such a tremendous water area, as anybody would know, Benton County being cut out by the Tennessee River. So I think continuing with that, having our Chamber of Commerce, Benton County Canada Chamber of Commerce, and other people helping with growing that, and also to continue with the fishing tournaments that we have. They're starting now, they've been stocking because of the Asian carp problem. They've been stocking the lake to try to get the bass population back up. The state and federal government's been taking steps to curtail the Asian carp infestation in our waters to allow for those bass species and other type of desirable fish to grow and thrive. And so we need to have that taking place. And I think with Ms. Matlock being at the Chamber of Commerce and them having some adequate funding to help them to grow their membership and then to begin reaching out past that into that function of tourism development, I think you're going to see good things coming from that. But it's not alone. You don't live in a box, and so it's not just this box or this box or this box. The mayor has to be focused on so many different things. A lot of plates are spinning, if I want to mix some metaphors here. And so we have that box of tourism that we're looking at, but economic development also has to be looked at, which again, we've already hashed it out, but with the Industrial Development Board doing their work, the job that they do so well, and getting them the training that they need to make sure that they're aware of resources, to have a person just doing that work to when those RFIs come in. I mean, as capable as any mayor could be in that office, having somebody that just does that work for requests for information is vital, because they're coming in now in waves because of the Blue Oval City. So you got to take care of that as well. But you also have to begin developing the county's property that you have so that you have the amenities and a word that gets thrown around a little bit, the accoutrements that are responsible for making people's lives better, that enrich the lives of its citizens, whether it's more boating facilities, whether it's better waterway access, whether it's having an industrial park at the interstate, whether it's having a Cracker Barrel at the interstate. Anything that we can do to make lives better here, we need to have that broad focus and to be targeting where we can and striking when the iron is hot.
Thank you. Mayor Lashlee, would you want me to repeat the question, or you got it? Have at it.
And what Mr. Shannon was trying to say, quality of life elements, and he hit on that, and I'm glad he did, and I'll expound on it. But just so you know, tourism is the number 2 industry in Tennessee. Okay, so for Benton County, it is a much larger proportion against ag, which is the number 1 industry in Tennessee. Tourism development is economic development. It is industrial recruitment. Our recruitment are called visitors, right? So we cannot discard the value of tourism to our county, and it's highly important. We've got to always, just like with industrial development, with industrial sites, we have to do the same thing with our tourism attractions, whether they be Kentucky Lake elements and access to Kentucky Lake, or whether they be our parks, the Patsy Cline Park, as well as our county ball fields and other county parks. Those add to quality of life, which again attracts families to Benton County that will be our future workforce. But again, let's not discard the value of tourism. It's called, it is the number 2 industry in Benton County. To go along with that, of course, industrial recruitment, but you cannot recruit if you don't have a playing field for them to come from, and the playing field that they want to play on. Again, we've got an existing industrial park that's very weak. We're in the process of developing a future industrial park, which will be very strong. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when they're going to come. We are projecting anywhere as early as 3, more like 5 years, you'll begin landing industry that we have never seen here before. We've already got multiple people interested in the site. But I want to get back to ag, okay, which is the #1 industry in Benton County. We were going to develop an ag complex. We've got to be able to educate our farmers. We've got to be able to bring our farmers to the public. We had an ag center plan with a farmers market. It was going to house other elements of agriculture that was going to help our farmers. We don't do anything here for our farmers. When we think of industry, right, we're thinking of that person with a brick and mortar place that we're trying to make a landing field for. What are we doing for farmers? Well, we put forth a plan for an ag complex, and it was killed.
Okay, well, that'll lead us into the next question right there. And this is going to be directed to Randy first. How do you plan to move forward with the old Walmart building? It's a question that everybody's wondering, that's been talked about over the last few months at length, but we've got a chance to have all three of you in here today. If elected, what is your plan to move forward with the old Walmart building?
Well, my plan would involve what the newly elected commission wishes to do with it. If the newly elected commission wishes to retain it, then I think there are more than ample things that could go into that facility using grant money with very little property tax increase at all, if any, none, not even on the budget now for that, to allow for instance, Mayor Lashlee mentioned the Agriculture Extension Center. That could be put into the Walmart building, as well as the soil conservation, put it all together so that the farmers would really have one place to go for all of their questions, needs, and training. If they wanted to have it, that could be there. You could have a civic center, which we're so desperately in need of, just to have events where we could house nice benefits, we could have nice concerts, we could have all sorts of things that would be in line with the civic center. That would also allow you to have a place to put in, if we had a disaster, it's not a shelter, but it would be a disaster recovery point where people can come pick up foods. They could stay there if they needed to. It's surrounded by things that would allow us to increase that. Also, you could put in our senior citizen center. You could if you wanted to lease it out for commercial enterprise to go in there. The only issue is that you have to make sure you comply, because that building is in the city of Camden, so it has to comply with their zoning restrictions. You hear a lot about this building that this company wanted to come in and put the city of Camden was not going to change the zoning to allow that to happen, so that wasn't realistic, and it still isn't. And so if the commission that's elected wishes to move forward with it, let's do it. If the commission that's elected doesn't want to move forward with it, then let's see what we can do and give the citizens what they want. So I'm a person that is responsive to the people more than anything else.
I appreciate that, Randy. Next person that gets to answer this will be Mayor Lashlee. If reelected,
you don't have to answer it.
Okay.
Walmart is dead. Walmart is a black hole. Walmart is a money pit. It will not happen if I'm mayor. End of question.
That's it?
That's it.
All right, Mark?
Well, thanks for the time. No, I feel similar to Brett. It's not a black hole. It's not a money pit if it's used properly, but it's not what we need to be doing to put in county offices. When you look at a building that's 60-something thousand square feet and what it's going to cost to remodel it and get it into county offices, you're looking at a minimum of $5 million. So to say that we can do that with no tax increase, to say that we can pay the utilities even, I mean, everybody's agreed our budget is thin line. How are you going to fund it? Where's the money going to come from? I'm not for the Walmart project at all, as Mr. Shannon has brought it forward. But I do think it's probably going to be an asset to Benton County to use. We can sell it to someone else. We got a decent price on it. So we need to put it back on the market. I'm not at all for spending money on that building to use for county offices. I think it's a huge mistake. Just like with the Lockhart building, that was also a huge mistake. You know, because it was not checked into thoroughly before we spent our money on it. But just sticking with the Walmart building, you know, we have had companies already asking to use that for light industry. I'm really good at negotiating. I think that we could talk with the city, give them the right to refuse any company, but if it's a good, clean company that's wanting a 60,000 square foot building with a parking lot that's huge, I think we can make that happen, and that's what my goal for the Walmart building will be. Either sell it to somebody that's wanting to put in business, or use it for a recruitment building to get companies in here. If it don't work out with the city, we've got somebody on the hook. We'll build them a building out at the industrial park. So I just can see only positive. It's negative if we're spending $3 to $5 million on it to make county offices. I would like to say on the county office thing, why aren't we fixing the county offices we have? Why do we all think that we have to build new offices? That's a question that I would like to ask.
Like I said, this has been talked about a lot. It's been a focal point of this election, honestly. So I don't know. Brett had a short answer. There might not be much more left to be said. I do want to give Randy a chance. Is there anything you want to add to that?
When you consider the how you fund it, you only build out what you have grant money available for. Buildings are done this way all the time. Once you start building on it, you build out what you have money for. As far as the utility cost, it is significantly less than the size of our high school. It is 1/3 the size of the Walmart Supercenter. I looked into the utility cost for that. It is not going to be astronomical. And plus, by using the Walmart facility for, if the county commission chooses to, for the others that we have, we can sell all of those parcels which are in need of very serious work, and we can put all of our money toward that to offset the cost of utilities that we're already paying. We're already paying the utilities for senior citizens. We're already paying the utilities for the TCAT that's over there in the old Horton Hospital. We're already paying the utilities for the Ag Extension facility, which is in the old electrical building. So you can say that there's going to be costs, but we're already incurring costs in older buildings that we're going to now have the chance to, if you wish, to build into and make better with more efficiency, better equipment, and to use in a more productive manner. But again, if the commission doesn't choose to do that, then okay, let's jump back and see what's next.
All right.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I'm in U.S. military contracting, and we have a rule called the bona fide need rule. It means you don't go out and speculate and buy something that you think you're going to need for the future. You have to have an immediate need at that time. We call it the bona fide need rule. The Walmart, you can't just buy it and say, well, we'll figure something out. That we're going to go 75% of it's going to be unused for so many years, and then we're going to use another small percentage, then we're going to use another small percentage. So again, and Mr. Ward said that it's not a black hole or a money pit, but then you start mentioning $5 million to pay for it. It's really going to be more in the $7 million to get it up and running. But it is a money pit, because once you get it, then you got to sustain it. And that's what worries me, is that we could have every need that we want for that building, but then it's going to be, do we have the operating financial structure to sustain that building going forward for these offices? Again, when you talk about bona fide need and what are we doing with our current county buildings, well, that's what this $8 million, $6 million bond that we were going to do earlier was going to address. We were in a 1957 doctor's clinic, a 1968 doctor's clinic. They were in terrible shape. We were trying to relocate offices that were in that building to give them something new, and we get a petition thrown in our face saying we're going to raise taxes. Again, there's nothing that will prove that whatsoever. The financial formulas will never show that there would have ever been a tax increase for that. We were actually going to relocate offices so that we could get offices remodeled and refurbished, but you've got to get them out. You've got to be able to reposition offices, and we don't need any of our, unless we're running a medical clinic, but we don't need agriculture or EMA or the other offices involved in a 1957 doctor's office that the basement flooded. There's mold all throughout the buildings. When I came into office, just like the military, when you first go in, what kind of property do I have? What condition is it in? And then when you try to make an effort to improve it, you get a protest thrown in your face.
Give Mark a chance to answer that.
What year was the Lockhart building built?
Well, it was originally there in 1947.
So we're moving out of a 59 building to a 47
No,
building?
that building had been refurbished multiple times throughout its lifetime. We knew what we were going to do with the Lockhart building. We were basically going to gut it and save everything except the back roof, because the back roof is historic, and we wanted that particular element for the Civic Center that was going to go into the back of the Lockhart building. But we knew exactly what we're going to do. We didn't have one inspection. We had two inspections on that property. It cleared all inspections. We knew exactly the role that it would play in the community, the offices that were going to be in it, and it was going to be much easier to manage 10,000 square foot building versus a 60,000 square foot building.
So I agree with that as far as what he said, if it was all true. But the 10,000 square foot building would be a lot easier. But when you're saying that you're the mayor for 4 years, you have buildings that was built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and you can't use them, so you buy one that was built in the 40s to remodel. I still don't understand why we're not remodeling the buildings we have and that we own instead of doing these big projects.
We planned on that.
Wait, let me finish. That's the reason the people of Benton County got a petition up. They saw that it was going to be a $6 or $8 million project, and they know that you cannot do a project like that without spending money. I mean, that's just common sense. So that, he keeps trying to look at me like I did that. The people did that. 2,000 people questioned that. And it come out to be true. The history of that property is it's in a flood zone. When he got the commission to vote to buy that property, he said clearly it is not in a flood zone. So when they found out through the insurance committee that it was in a flood zone, that's when Randy was in there and they said, you know, we can't go forward with this project. We're going to have to do something else. And that's what prompted the commission and Randy to go to higher ground, if you want to say it that way.
So with where we currently are with this Walmart project, Brett, you mentioned that if you're reelected, it's dead, it's done. What is the next step from that?
Well, first of all, my plan is to sell it, hopefully to a private individual that turns around and puts jobs in it and puts tax revenues back in it. I believe we can market it. I do believe we can get the variances from the city of Camden, that if small manufacturing, small industry wanted to go in there, surely Camden would not watch jobs and tax revenues walk further down the street. I do believe Camden would be receptive to that, so long as it fit the model. So, but we don't know who's going to buy it. Right now, our bottom dollar is, let's say, $800,000 is what we have in it. That's our bottom dollar to take. Maybe we can get $900 million out of it. Again, put that money to use in the community. But at the end of the day, if I'm stuck with it, okay, that we just can't sell it and it's there, and hey, let's take 3, 4, 5 years to determine the best plan for that building, how we're going to fund it, exactly what's going to go in it, how we're going to execute it. Let's have a solid plan together before we move forward on the Walmart building. But goodness, please, it's like I couldn't get rid of it fast enough. My whole goal is to get that building off of our books and get it back into the private economy.
All right. Is there anything, Mark or Andy, that you want to add before we go to break on this Walmart building? All right.
No, I'm good.
Sounds good. We're coming up on 3:30. We're going to take one more break. We'll be back for the final portion of this debate. We've got 3 more questions left. Craig's Pizza, located at 117 West Main Street in Camden, is the place to go if you're craving a meal that only a hometown staple can provide. They've got pizza, sandwiches, lasagna, wings, and so much more. Take it from me, you won't find better pizza around, and that's coming from a guy who loves to eat. Open Monday through Friday from 3 to 9. Craig's is the easy choice when you want big city flavor in a small town package. That's Craig's Pizza.
Hey folks, this is Dwayne Fowler. I'm currently the 4th District Commissioner. I'd like to say I'm proud to be supporting this mayoral debate. I hope it is very informative to all the Benton County voters, and I encourage everyone to get out and vote. If you are a resident of the 4th District, I would really appreciate you considering Dwayne Fowler as one of your commissioners.
Paid for by Dwayne Fowler, candidate for 4th District Commissioner.
Hello, I'm David Johnson, Republican candidate for Circuit Court Clerk. Over the past 15 years, I've had the honor of serving Benton County as the Youth Services Officer and Director of Juvenile Court. During this time, I've secured over $1.8 million in grant funds and implemented numerous programs, this resulting in the lowest juvenile crime rate for Benton County in well over 30 years. Before this, I served as a security policeman on active duty in the United States Air Force for 10 years. Please allow me the honor of serving Benton County as your next circuit court clerk. I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
This message paid for by the candidate.
My daughter wanted a debit card that fit into her financial plans. I thought, what fits in better with being a future pop star, famous artist, or maybe a nurse than Swipe Smart Checking from First Bank? Swipe Smart has no overdraft fees, and First Bank's free mobile app helps me track her spending. Let her imagination go wild, not fees.
Help them be smarter with money while outsmarting fees. Go to firstbankonline.com/swipesmart. Member FDIC.
Hey y'all, this is Stephanie with Hyperion X. We're proud to be a sponsor of the 2022 Benton County Mayoral Debate. We love Benton County and believe in a brighter future, which is why we're so excited about this debate. Every person matters and every vote matters. We hope you hit the polls and exercise your right to vote. Benton County is stronger when we're all in this together. Come see me and the team at Hyperion X if you've got any questions about what we do in this beautiful county.
A big thank you to all of our sponsors for making this possible. First Bank, Hyperion X, David Johnson. He's a candidate for Benton County Circuit Court Clerk. Craig's Pizza, and Dwayne Fowler at the shop, who is also running for County Commissioner. Thank you to all of them for making this possible. We've got just a few minutes left in the 2022 Benton County Mayoral Debate. I've got two more questions, and then all of our candidates will give their closing statements. So this one, I guess going in our order, it should be to Mayor Lashlee now. We've talked a lot today about the county commission and their role in all of this. A lot of people that I've talked to, and that's where I've drawn a lot of these questions, are just my interactions with Benton County residents that I've talked to, feels like sometimes the county commission doesn't truly represent them. Now, granted, county commission is voted in. It's the most American way to do it. You as mayor, and you two as, prospective mayors, what do you believe is the right balance between the will of the people and the will of the county commission? And what is your philosophy on handling that if the two wills are greatly different?
And I'll start off?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, at the end of the day, the county commission is the final say. They are the legislative authority for the county. They can set policies as much as they can set budgets. But they are a part-time body, okay? They're supposed to have jobs out in the community, and so at the end of the day, whatever they put in that budget is their intent, okay? Executing that budget falls upon the full-time personnel, whether it be various departments or the county mayor. So once they make that vote, they relinquish their involved. They're going to get involved because they're citizens and they're just. But at the end of the day, I don't want them micromanaging. When they put their say-so, they're putting it in the funding mechanism. Once they fund a particular line, then it becomes it's the mayor's baby to take. Okay, so what we've got, I believe, and maybe it's through natural human nature, is that they want to be hand involved, okay? They want to be front and center in that, and that's not their role. That is not their role. They have absolutely no authority in the county. They cannot order any particular personnel around. They cannot even enter county property saying that I'm a county employee. They are not, okay? They are simply the funding mechanism for the county or policy maker. Now, it's best to have a partner between the mayor, but the mayor's supposed to sell their vision, okay? The mayor's supposed to sell what they believe is the vision for the county. They are leaders, not followers. The county commission will give its thumbs up, but once they give its thumbs up, then they, to me, become a partner to that vision, all right? It's not the other way around. The county commission is not the vision leader for the county. And if they are, they're normally going to go in regress, not progress. So, again, my take is, the county mayor leads from the front, and and we've got a tail wagging the dog in most of the cases, and it won't happen with me.
All right. Now to you, Mark. What is your philosophy as far as balancing the will of the people and the will of the county commission?
First of all, I would like to say that I will respect the county commissioners. and what they want to do 100%. They're all people of our community. Their families, they work here, they live here, they make the decisions for us, and I think the county mayor needs to respect that, and he needs to respect their opinions. You do need to give your opinion as county mayor, but to browbeat, I guess that's a word for it, your county commission and try to make them submit to your will, that's not what it should be. And that's what we've seen over these last 4 years, over and over again. So I want to work with the county commission. I want to work with the city of Camden. But there's provisions in the law for the public. That's what you're asking about. 3 times in Benton County in my life, the county commission has passed a wheel tax. 3 times I have got a petition personally up to have it put on the ballot. Not to say no, don't do it, but let the will of the people speak. And I really think that that's very important, the way our government works, because 3 times I got the amount of signatures. You have to get like 10% of who voted in the governor's race to sign that petition. The election commission has to verify those signatures, and it's turned into the county commission. 3 times it's happened. 3 times it's been put on the ballot. 3 times 72% of people, roughly, have voted against a wheel tax. You know what? We've made it, and we haven't had to go borrow money to make it. We didn't need the wheel tax to start with. Well, only one time that I can remember while I was administrator of elections was there a petition got up by law, followed the procedures. They got the signatures. They brought it in. I checked the signatures. They turned it into the mayor's office, and he did not do the will of the people. He did not let his commission even vote to put it on the ballot like the law requires. He tossed it in the garbage and said, you elected me to make your decisions, and that's what's going to happen. You no longer have the right to speak. I'm making these decisions. That's no way to run a county.
Brett, I'll let you make a rebuttal in a second. I want to go to Randy first. And do you want me to repeat the question, or are you good?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
I think the commission that elected should be talking with their constituents in their districts. That's why we have representational government. As the interim mayor, one of the things that I made a priority is that I attended, where it was humanly possible, every committee meeting. I responded to their questions. I kept them as an active, engaged partner in the things that we're going forward with. Because if you have these good men and women who give their time, and they are part-time, and if you have good men and women who give their time as part-timers, then they need to have as much information available to them. So I would go to every committee meeting. I would talk with them, have an exchange of information back and forth, questions, so that they could make the best decisions that they could. And I like having a county commission that is involved in making decisions, because I do believe in representational government above anything else. We live in a great republic, and we should never forget that. And so I don't mind taking things before the commission, even though the mayor may have the authority to do it per se. I don't mind getting the will of the people involved in the decisions, and I've shown that in the time that I was interim mayor, where I had the will of the people asked by asking their representational government, and that's what I believe that they do. So if there's a misalignment between what the citizens want and what the commission wishes, well, that's between the commissioners and the people, because they do exercise the voice of the people here. And I think we should work to make sure there's harmony between those two, so that the will of the people is what's being expressed in the commission, and that the two can be harmoniously aligned. And so that I will continue to do that, to work in harmony with the commission, to work in harmony with the citizens, to work in harmony with the mayor and the board of aldermen in our cities, to make sure that we can exchange information and have the best possible relationship that we can, so that everybody knows what's going on and we all move forward together.
All right, thank you. Brad, were you wanting to make a rebuttal to Mark?
Well, definitely. And just like Mayor Shannon said, it's representative. We've had 5 votes on our capital plans. And actually, the first one was done before I was even mayor, a $5 million 5-year capital improvement plan. It was made before I was mayor. Where was the protest then? Mr. Ward said he has a history of leading these petitions. He actually said in the paper that the petition, the last one to stop the project, originated with him in his office. So I want...
Hold on just 1 second. Don't lie.
You said that. It's in the paper. It's in the
No,
Camden Chronicle.
it did not
Read the
originate.
Camden Chronicle.
It did not originate.
So what happens is he's already proven that he's been leading these petitions of his past, wheel tax, whatever it may be. And at the end of the day, who is the will of the people, right? I've held town hall meetings. How many has Mr. Ward ever held? How many town hall meetings did he hold at the Election Commission where he was working? None, right? But for some reason, he says he knows the will of the people. Well, okay, did you ask the first grader sitting in school right now saying, I want a better future ahead. I want quality of life. So because if you don't carry a picket sign, or if you're not out here being boisterous and holding these petition drives at four-way stops, for some reason, you're not counted in his people, right? It's only the ones that are boisterous and loud that he counts. He doesn't count that first grader who's saying, I want a better future. Again, we had town hall meetings. We had public meetings. We had more transparency than we've ever had of a plan that was initiated before I was mayor. I was actually executing it to the best of my abilities. But at the end of the day, it's like he's been here all of his life, right? He said he's led multiple petitions. I told you before, he's against. All you have to do is look at Main Street. All you have to do is look at the low wages, the closed business. I think Mark Ward is part of the problem we've had here for 4 decades.
Mark?
I don't think I need to respond to that. I think he said it very well.
Fair enough.
Yep.
We good on that subject?
That lets the people know how he actually feels.
All right. We've got one more final question before closing statements here. And we will start on this one. This will be with Mark. Final question as we bring this to an end. This has been a rough election cycle. I don't think you'll find anybody in Benton County that doesn't have an opinion and doesn't have a strong opinion about it. As we move forward from this, regardless of the winner, what does community unity mean to you, and what does it look like? If elected, what will you do to try to foster even more transparency and community involvement in their local government?
Okay, I've said this from the very start. I'm going to have an open door policy where I want input from the public. I want input from everyone, not just our county officials and county leaders. The door will be open. I want to know what the county thinks they need, the people. Listen, I've lived here my whole life. Everybody knows me. Everybody knows that I've pushed for the right things for Benton County. It's hurt me sometimes as far as personally to get a petition up against wheel tax, but it helped the people. I've always been for helping the people, so the door will always be open. I'll work to bring our community together, and hopefully we can all work together to make this a better place. That's all I'm concerned about. My wife wanted me to say this. I bought rental properties when she and I first got married 35 years ago. I kept my rent the same for 25 years. Through all these tax increases, through insurance going up, because I know the people. I do know the people. I talk to the people all the time. I knew they couldn't afford more rent. So I talked to my wife about it. I said, we can't go up on these people. A lot of my renters that rented at that time, I'm talking about in the 80s and 90s, we would take them food every month because we knew that was widow women that was drawing $700 or $800 a month. They didn't have money left over after they paid all their utilities and bills. That's why I fought against the wheel tax. That's why I fight against property tax increases. It's the good people of Benton County. It's the young people that are working 2 jobs to buy a house and raise kids. We don't need to be doing this frivolous spending and raising taxes and putting on wheel taxes. I'm very proud that I saved the Benton County wheel tax 3 times. They've quit even bringing it up now because it's failed 3 times. But I was not the originator. Paul Crafton is a citizen in Benton County, and he's the one that originated the last petition about this $6 or $8 million project, and Jim Bourne and a couple others. But what I said about the Election Commission is those signatures have to be verified through the Election Commission. That's state law. And when you spend your time to check 2,000 plus names, and then the mayor just disregard it, just like the people didn't speak. I respect these people. They're my neighbors. They're my friends. We go to church with them. So I will always respect all the citizens of Benton County, and I will work to represent you to the best of my abilities.
All right, thank you. Randy, you good on the question? Do you want me to repeat it?
Oh, give it to me again.
All right. Rough election cycle, of course. Everybody's got strong, very strong opinions. What does community unity mean to you if elected, and what will you do to try to foster more transparency and community involvement in their local government?
Community unity means everything. If we're not together, then I believe the old adage is, united we stand, divided we fall. As Benjamin Franklin said, if we don't hang together, surely we will hang separately. So we have to be together, and we have to be working to make sure that we are progressing ourselves in a peaceful and productive manner. I did that as interim mayor. I will continue to do that if elected mayor, that I will work to make sure that we have unity, to make sure that the people's voices are heard. One of the things that I was able to accomplish is that we put a new website in for Benton County, bentoncountytn.gov. I hope everybody goes and takes a chance to look at that. One of the things that made that such an interesting project to me is the fact that you can register to have information sent to you. So, for instance, when committees are meeting, when it gets all up and going, and if I'm elected mayor, I will make sure it's working at 100% capacity, that those agendas can be sent out to you, and you be given notifications of when meetings are taking place and where they're taking place, so that more involvement can be had by our citizens coming to all of our open meetings, so that they can see and give input. Because in almost every meeting that I've ever been part of, there was an opportunity for citizens forum, which I think is a great thing. It needs to be moderated, needs to be maintained with civility and respect, but I think it's a great part of what we do here in Benton County. And so we want to continue to do that, to make people aware and as involved as they can be and wish to be. It's true everybody has an opinion, but not everybody likes coming to a meeting, I guess. But that's what I will continue to work for, and to continue to make part of who we are, that we are Benton County. In the school system, we've got a statement, let's be better together. I think it applies for Benton County too. Let's be better together. With Randy Shannon as mayor, you will be.
Thank you for that. Mayor Lashlee, your turn.
Well, Mr. Ward said all of his active participation in leading petitions, but he talks about respecting. Well, I respect our republic, that we have elected officials to do our speaking, okay? So I actually respect the republic and the process that we took through our county legislative body that voted over 5 times in various means to support the projects that we had, that he took an active role. We've got him on videotape in public meetings, taking an active role as an election administrator against. So the petitions actually work against sometimes your republic, right? If you're going to talk, you talk to your commissioners. That's the first and foremost thing. That's the republic that we have. But let's talk about how they're going to get informed. I was the mayor that actually instituted town hall meetings, right? We don't have them. I've conducted over 20 live town hall meetings, numerous other Facebook live town hall meetings. So I'm the one out there listening to the people, all right? Talk about closed door or open door process. I bet my door hadn't been closed 3 times the entire 4 years I've been in office. No more than 3 times. I had the most open door policy as any mayor we have ever had, the most transparent mayor we have ever had. We didn't even have live meetings until I became meeting. Now they're a commonplace amongst us. But at the end of the day, you want to talk about unity. It starts with vision. You've got to lead from the front, not from the rear. That's what a mayor does. And a mayor has to have vision. I've been running on it since 2017. Vision breeds hope. And the hope breeds energy. And that energy, all bundled together, breeds the unity that we need to move our county forward, instead of out here leading petitions to be against. It doesn't matter if it's the wheel tax or whatever. What I've heard from my opponent is he's just against everything. I've not found anything that he's for.
Is there anything you'll want to add to that?
We'll have closing statements.
Closing statements. Okay, those are coming up. I lied to you. I've got one more question. It's the toughest one I've had all day. Let's see. We'll start this with Randy. What's your favorite meal in Benton County?
My favorite meal?
Your favorite meal. Where's your favorite place to stop? What's your favorite thing to eat in Benton County?
Well, you're talking to a fat boy who's getting a little bigger because it's getting harder to keep the weight off, and so I ate a lot of different places. So, you know, it wouldn't be a Benton County if I didn't say I didn't like catfish. And there's lots of good places to get catfish. I wouldn't be telling the truth if I didn't say I didn't go to our Chinese restaurant and our Mexican restaurant. So enjoy Lynn's Buffet and El Vallarta. So I have a lot of favorite meals, but my favorite meal of all is the one my loving wife takes the time to make for me.
She's listening, isn't she?
I think so. So, Jamie, honey, I love you.
That's a great answer.
And you do wonderful.
That's a great answer. Mayor Lashlee, your favorite meal in Benton County.
Gosh, thank you, Randy. That was a great answer. Of course, your greatest meal is the one that your wife cooks for you. But I just got back from Africa, and I can tell you I've eaten more MREs than my stomach can handle. So all food, so long as it's in Benton County, is the greatest meal that one could ever ask for. If I had to identify one, I would just had a hunger for barbecue. I just wanted to get home and have a good old, Southern pork barbecue sandwich. Again, after you've been living on MREs for about 8 months, anything of solid food was a welcome. But again, I got to hand it to Randy. The meal that your wife cooks after a long day of work, there's nothing better.
It's hard to top that answer. Mark?
Well, I don't particularly like the question because I frequent every restaurant in Benton County.
Hey, I'll tell you something before you go any further. I thought about it when I asked it. I don't know if I can give you an answer. I've got about 4 or 5 that, depending on the day, are all going to punch pretty hard. But you just give us one,
I absolutely love going to Down Home for their lunch. They have a really good lunch. But I guess if I had to narrow it down to one meal, and like I said, I'm not talking bad about any restaurant.
Yeah, no.
Because I really want those guys to vote for me. But I really like the shrimp fajitas at El Vallarta.
They're great.
That's good when you're on the run and want to pick up something, but I have to go with Randy. Yeah. What my wife fixes at home is always the best. Thanks,
man.
Lori.
I promise I didn't tell them this question beforehand, but they all answered it right. All right, guys, we've got just a few minutes left. I want to give y'all the opportunity to give your closing statements. We will start with Mayor Lashlee.
All right. Of course, I want to stay under time, so I kind of typed this out. But, when I was a candidate for the first time back in 2017, my motto was bold leadership and vision. And to move us forward meant we could no longer behave and manage and think in the ways we had been doing in the past, that it would require skill and capability and the vision that I was talking about to move you forward. So I believe over the last 4 years of serving as your mayor, I have put out vision, I have put out initiatives, and I have put out the capabilities to be able to get it done. A leader of vision should be able to lead with their eyes closed. Vision comes from within, not from your eyesight. And regardless of where you are, you know how to get there. You know how to get there with your eyes closed. A famous American leader once coined the phrase, "Are we better off now than we were 4 years ago?" And I think locally speaking, we've never been better. We spoke earlier about we've got record revenues in every single tax category that there is on the books. Okay? We've had a budget that's lived well within its means. We have gone from having over 20 audit findings on our financial reports prior to me becoming mayor to we struggle now to have one. That is an enormous improvement. And at the end of the day, the audits prove whether you're living within your means. We've shown up in the black every audit. We cannot be managed any better than we have been managed under my leadership in the last 4 years. So I want to thank WRJB and you, Dylan, for hosting this. I appreciate the citizens of our county tuning in. My name is Benton County Mayor Brett Lashlee, and I want to continue serving as your mayor, and I humbly ask for your vote and support. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Mark, your turn.
I do appreciate you, Dylan, and Vicki for getting this up, and I appreciate the sponsors for sponsoring the program so we could come and let the people actually hear what our platforms are. I've been out, I guess, for 6 months now, going door to door, talking to people, seeing people in town at the restaurants and everywhere we go. It's been a very encouraging 6 months. It's great to get to see everybody and talk to them and see what their concerns are. I feel like I'm the best person to go forward this next 4 years. because I feel like I'm in tune with the people in Benton County. So if you don't mind, get out and vote. It starts tomorrow, and vote Mark Ward for Benton County Mayor.
And finally, last but not least, Randy.
I hope not least.
No.
My name is Randy Shannon, and clearly I'm running for county mayor. I think that we have an opportunity here that we've never had before to capitalize on the opportunity that has been presented us in the state of Tennessee with the Big Blue Oval. I think we have an opportunity to return to civility in our county. I think we have an opportunity to marshal the forces that we have here and to grow and to be a nurturing environment for businesses that wish to come here. For the citizens that are staying here, we want to have a reason to stay. And we want to have a reason for those that have left in the past to come back and to be engaged in meaningful employment, to be that small town entrepreneurial force that has driven America at its grassroots, to be better than we have been in the past. And so as mayor, I will work day and night, tirelessly, to make sure that the opportunities that are available to us are had by us, and that we get our fair share of the pie that is being divided up around us, whether it be jobs, grants, any other sort of thing that may be available. We need to grow at every area, whether it be tourism, water development, industrial development, small town business, as I've already said. I'd love to see this radio station be a hub of the Magic Valley once again.
You and me both.
And so we need to turn this county around so that its population in the next census is higher by significant numbers than they are now. We are in a depressed area. We're not just Benton County, but the whole area. The whole river area is depressed. And so we need to reach out with those hands of friendship and partnership with county mayors in Decatur County and Carroll County. And well, I won't list all the counties, but you know, we need to get these partnerships coming. And if it helps Carroll County, that helps us in an ancillary position. If it helps Benton County, it helps them as well. And so a vote for Randy Shannon on August 4th, or starting tomorrow with early voting, is a vote for progress, a vote for momentum, and a vote for a return to civility in government.
I appreciate all three of you gentlemen. We did this with the aim to give people a better understanding of where y'all stand, and I thought it could be a great example of civics here in Benton County, and I feel pretty good about it now that we're on the back end of it. I appreciate all three of you for giving us this time. I appreciate all of our sponsors for making this possible. I wish all of you luck in the election, and I encourage anybody listening to get out and vote. Early voting will begin tomorrow, July 15th. We've got Jim Steele coming on in just a few minutes. He'll be bringing you the press box, a little local sports talk for West Tennessee and beyond. Appreciate you tuning in this afternoon. For myself, Dylan Pally, and the rest of the crew here at WRJB, this has been the 2022 Benton County Mayoral Debate. Thank you to all the candidates, and thank you for listening. Y'all have a great evening.
You've been listening